Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It is the 5th. Looks like the market's still kind of swoony. Let's go to the charts. Gotta warn you, I'm still feeling a little under the weather today, so feeling a little faint today. But I took a Tylenol, so I think that will resolve itself soon. Okay, so volume profile. Yesterday in the E-mini, a huge bender down of a day. Now keep in mind that we are still just kind of where we were before the holidays, so it's not really the end of the world. However, I want to point out that it was just a real bender of a move. So, I mean, it really, the extent to which it went compared to volatility was really big. So you'll know we have had changes, declines recently even, that are larger in terms of percentage of the index, but they were not as large compared to the level of the VIX. And so what we get is a move that was really quite unexpected, and personally it caught me off guard. So by the way, we're getting some Canadian numbers in here that we don't care about. Treasuries. Now, treasuries initially pushed lower on this move, which I find really, really interesting. Perhaps them thinking that the Democrats are going to win the Senate runoffs or something. I don't know. But then when the risk really came out of the S&P 500, they bid things back up, and we've been up there since. So, and you can see here, I'll just come back over to my main screen. You can see that on the open, the treasuries are bidding. Now, oil was looking really good until all this happened, and then it just got hit hard. And it was a very volatile decline as well. That would probably be really frustrating to trade. Over here in gold, though, gold looking good. Gold looks really great. I had a great run yesterday. It was messy, but it was a good run, and it's in a critical spot. I think that it's pretty likely that gold will come and tag that 1966 or so that they were unable to get past last time. I'm short term, I'm pretty bullish on gold now. I'm liking what I'm seeing in the chart. Copper did similar things. It was going really good in the morning, but then copper declined. So let me just finish here with looking at the dollar. By the way, I think I should change this over here in the dollar, because this is like a 5-minute, and I feel like it was a little late on the dollar yesterday. So I'm going to change it to a 1-minute. Anyways, you can see that yesterday, pretty big rise. Now it's come back considerably, but it's still pretty, flat. So what do we make from all this? Because there's some real question. Oh, by the way, Bitcoin, pretty much where it was yesterday. I think there's some question about what caused the move, because it was quite unexpected, in my opinion. One perhaps factor is that in the UK, they are extending lockdowns, and really all across Europe, they're extending lockdowns, and things just don't look very good over there. I think that is probably a really significant factor. And we can talk more about lockdowns, because I think that there's some interesting things to discuss about lockdowns that I've seen. Another theory has been that the Democrats are going to win the Georgia runoffs today. I would still peg that as, I don't want to say unlikely, but I think the expectation is that the Republicans will win. I think that the market's expectation is still that the Republicans will win. So if the Democrats win that tonight, the market is probably going to flip out, and I would expect them to move lower. Almost certainly. Now, when I look at the macro moves, especially when you look at things like copper, so for instance, dollar devaluation, because we would expect the Democrats to continue to devalue the dollar and for there to be a reflation trade. But we would also expect the Democrats to do things like tax big tech companies more. And what did you see yesterday? Well, a lot of hard assets like gold did well. And things like tech did extremely poorly yesterday. My bank stocks were actually still up yesterday. So I believe that the Georgia runoffs, it didn't seem like that would be a thing at first, but I think that was what was going on. Now the question is, are they really predicting that the Democrats are going to win that, or was it just like take off some risk before the thing happens? So I guess we'll find out tonight, tomorrow, where that goes. Now, a couple of things. Winston coming in and posting a bunch of stuff here, so there is some of this that we want to talk about. So one thing that I find incredibly interesting is the NYSE reversing course on delisting Chinese military companies. So there is the Donald Trump put out an executive order basically warning people about investing in these companies. And so the NYSE, in response to this order, was going to delist them from the exchange. And it was all over the news. Okay, we're taking these off today. And then at the last second, they changed their mind and said, oh, no, we're not going to do it. Which is very curious. And you have to wonder what is going on behind the scenes caused them to do this. Maybe they think Biden's going to reverse that. Oh, I tell you what, if Biden reverses that, he is going to get so that, like, if there is anything you could do to give people ammo to say that you are really just trying to help China out, that you're really working for China, that would be it. Right out the gate, is that what they're going to do? So I find that really curious and something that I think we should keep an eye on, because it's something that I think people would forget about and might not seem too significant, but in the longer end may end up being a little prescient. There was also something about quantum computing. Yeah, quantum computing is great and all, but probably the real growth and like the company that you really want to get into for quantum computing probably isn't here yet. Pierre, how are you? Blunt 420, welcome back. Oh yeah, there is an OPEC meeting today. That's a good point too. Now on lockdowns, I want to point you to, well, they were linking to it on Zero Hedge. Let me find the actual scenario. The actual article, rather. This is Paul Joseph Watson. Yeah, Summit News. Oh, but it's coming from author and statistician William M. Briggs. He argues that lockdowns don't work because they force people to gather in fewer places like supermarkets and therefore spread viruses faster than if people were allowed to spread out. Oh my gosh, guys. I am sick today. This makes sense. This makes a lot of sense to me. It goes back to this argument that, like, why do all of the small companies have to shut down, but you can still go to Walmart and Costco? And then there's all these videos of like, people just absolutely packed in at Costco. I think they have a legitimate point there, man. And honestly, there's no way that you can look at the data now and say that the lockdowns really prevent the spread. I think you could say that when the virus hadn't been spread very far, that it did delay the virus. But it actually appears that in once the virus is going, it's some of the states that have locked down the most have had the most cases. Why aren't they socially distanced in packed planes? So good question. So there has been some research done on this. And I don't know if that happened since the pandemic or what the deal is. And I certainly think that you might have to question the efficacy of such research. But circulation in an airplane is like really good. So they have they have these filters in the airplane are like held to really strict standards, and they have to filter out anything like that. And so the claim is that the rate of transmission on airplane is quite low. So this is one that I find interesting because my wife says that there are so many posts in her flight attendant groups that people are sick of flight attendants getting sick. And studies show, or at least the numbers that I've seen show, that the rate of transmission on airplanes isn't very high. So I don't know. On an airplane, the air is recycled. No. So yes, but it is recycled through very stringent filters that supposedly catch or kill the virus. It is recirculated air, but they're saying that it's not. Like, honestly, think about it. If it wasn't that way, the disease transmission on airplanes would be ridiculous, right? They have to have filters on those planes that are inspected like literally every time it flies, that are designed to kill airborne pathogens. I don't know if there's a ton of data, but this was brought up. Remember, oh my gosh, guys, I am definitely sick still. What is this guy's name? Nassim. This was brought up on Nassim Nicholas Taleb's Twitter. He asked this question. People provided some information showing that the rate of transmission on airplanes wasn't very high. So, well, there you have it. All right, well, I feel sleepy. I feel sleepy and floaty and stuff. I didn't really sleep very well last night. I got to bed at a good time and everything, but I'd get too cold, I'd get too hot, and the HEPA filters in use on Americans' fleet capture at least 99.97% of airborne microbes by circulating the cabin air once every 2 to 4 minutes. There you go, Pierre. Yeah, so whatever. Here's the thing that I just don't understand is when they like when we were locked down, the grocery store was basically like you had to go between 4 and 6, and that was it. And I'm like, this is the dumbest idea ever, because you're just going to get everybody to come at that time. You look a bit loopy. I'm not actually loopy, but I do feel floaty. Like my head doesn't feel very grounded, which is probably is going to affect my trading. Like it might not outright affect or cause bad analysis on its own, but my ability to detect my own emotions and know when I'm doing something stupid is probably less. Because you're less present. Grounded is the word I think people use. Excuse me. Oh, is that you in Discord, Pierre? We should give you permissions if that's you. I had some people pop into Discord that were a little suspicious lately. Like, They're talking about spot gamma here. The Holy Trinity is spot gamma, squeeze metrics, and nope, no. Oh, there's... Get the baby to replay. The baby is asleep, and I'm leaving him asleep. Oh my gosh, that's the other annoying thing, is this child just doesn't like sleeping. It's the least favorite thing in the world. Child, someday you will learn. Sleep is good. Now, look at that treasury, that O2 half pulling. Well, they trade through it practically on nothing. O2 half wouldn't have been... Oh, actually, I take that back. O2 would have been acceptable. O2 would have been an acceptable buy. What about here in the Imanai? Well, there's not a lot of trend at the moment. I'm gonna zoom this in a little bit. Oh, you know what? I know what I'm missing. I know what I'm missing, guys. Boys. We gotta turn on all of the robots. He is sleeping during the day to keep you awake at night, the usual, perhaps. He'll take it's weird, he'll take like a short nap, and then he'll want to go to sleep on time at night. Okay, so that was a significant buy there in the E-mini. What the what? And they... Ugh. I mean, it's probably not as significant as it actually looks, but a pretty decent spike there. That's about 400 contracts. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Right there at 36.85, and then they kind of are backing off. I like the treasury giving us O2 again. Well, let's try it. I think somebody wanted to be short there. Somebody posted in the interest rates channel a good article, a scholarly research done by the Federal Reserve that suggested that informed traders prefer to use market orders and uninformed traders want to use limit orders. And so when I see an iceberg there like that, I often would think, well, somebody wants to be short the S&P 500 because they know something. But now I go in and I say, actually, somebody who did want to be short the S&P 500 there, but he probably doesn't know what's going to happen. He's just hedging himself. Well, now that we've ticked down and back into O2 in the 10-year, there is a little bit more liquidity above us. So we should keep an eye on that. All of my robots are up. I think I have one has the wrong time frame on him, but it doesn't matter because he rarely takes trades anyways. And the time frame shouldn't really affect him much. The spy nope tracker. There's something to read later. Okay, going bid, but trading both ways now at O2, which it's a balanced price. I think that's about in line with what we would expect. 1,000 bid, that's good. Treasury down, or sorry, E-mini down a little bit. If we're going to have another risk-off day, I think that a bid in the treasuries could be really good. But let's see what happens. See what happens. Zero Hedge tweets Germany latest to extend lockdown. FDA warns against stretched COVID vaccine doses. Somebody here on Twitter, asynchronous learning really just means I don't even want to hold a Zoom class today. That's how I feel. I feel that it seems really clear to me that online school is not as effective. All these people coming out and saying, see, this just proves that we don't actually need to go to school. We can just watch YouTube videos and we can get taught by the best teachers and all this nonsense. And then I look at it and it's like, dude, there's a reason that you send the kids to school and you put them in this environment where they're like, completely controlled and this and that. It's because that's the only way that they get shit done. That study, well, the one that I'm talking about, there's a link on Discord. I wonder what he's talking about here. The Futures Trader 71 has this thread. This is the kind of day that separates the long-term traders from others. What differentiates them? Risk control, pure and simple. Long-term traders will eat the stop and step aside. Others are gambling and not throwing shade. But I know many learning traders who follow the fading style that others advocate, and it is this sort of three sigma move that wipes them out. So it isn't just the leader getting crushed, but everyone who follows. And again, the difference is respecting and obeying risk, not perfection. Again, the intent of this is not to throw shades at anyone. I saw people who are struggling to learn get crushed today following someone else into trades. You know, FT, I was shown some shit too, and I'm highly suspicious about it. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about what did I do yesterday, because I didn't necessarily trade it well, but I came out on top in the end. Actually, so we did one where we kind of doubled down. We like quadrupled down on something when we went short, didn't we? But then after stream, it gave me a kind of a better long setup, and I took that one and I made a ton on that one. I was looking to make 250. They never quite got to my entry, and I pulled my stop up when I went away, and it went and hit it and then went back up. I was really pissed. Anyone heard of Blue Lime? I've never heard of them. Oh, good morning, Ace. I'm surprised that you don't know about Blue Line Futures. Nope. I literally never heard of them. Literally never heard of them. It sounds to me like you're full of shit, Eagle Eyes, because you're a person that's never been on our room before, and the first thing that you do is you mention somebody that nobody knows about. We're going to look these up, and if I'm not impressed with them, you're getting banned, like, fucking seriously. And put up with that shit. Lending brokerage. Okay, so they're a brokerage. Apparently. On CQG. Okay. Well, I'll let you stay then. I'll let you say since they're an introducing broker. If there were like just some group of people like selling a signal service or something, you was gonna be gone. Oh, it's White Trader. Oh, okay. Okay. You're good. We're good. We're good. I'm just hyper suspicious. Okay. There's been some suspicious stuff going on lately. Okay. So I'm extra on guard. Sorry, I didn't know. You're good. You're good. So our O2 is okay. By the way, I'm thinking about it from yesterday. I took that treasury trade, and it went against us really hard, and I didn't manage it very well at all. So let's do better on this one if something like that happens, right? Oh, MK asked how he should plan his education to do what you were doing. Well, I think that to trade like me, the first thing is you're gonna have to get the DOM open and you're gonna watch it every day. The next thing is that you need to read the news, like CNBC, and absorb as much as you can about the industry. That's a really important. Wow, that was a real down sweep. That was an ugly down sweep. So look at that. Yeah, that's gonna. Remember, I said informed traders prefer to use market orders according to Federal Reserve research. That looks like market orders to me, man. Anyways, and then, for programming, man, that one's hard because I went to school, and I think many people would say that you can do this without going to school, or that you can go to a coding camp or something, and that's probably the case, although I don't think that most people would. So, I don't know. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be trying to trade like me, right? I think that if you're watching me, excuse me. First of all, I think the main thing here with me is that this is more about like the camaraderie and so forth, right? So you're here because it's difficult to find people that are really serious about futures trading and know what's going on, and are experienced in this. And here you can come and we can talk about it and be casual, but still be serious about the market. and you can watch what I'm doing, and you can certainly take things from my trades. But I think that what you should be trying to pick up on more is the process that I go through to try and identify a market inefficiency and take advantage of it. And that's exactly why I say I don't think that you should be trying to duplicate my trading style, because my trading style is very unique to my own abilities, knowledge, and risk tolerance, right? If you had more risk tolerance, you absolutely shouldn't trade like me. You should just swing it. You know what I mean? or maybe average in and take on a little bit more risk than I do in one way or another. They probably would do better if you take on more risk. But yeah. So you don't want to duplicate the way that I trade. What you want to do is look at the process, right? Want to Skype? Well, so... Oh, you're talking to Ace. That's totally... Yeah, okay, gotcha. Need to get on Discord. He still didn't do it. Told him yesterday. I wanted to do something with his strategy yesterday, and I never got to it, too. If unique means chaos man is confusion conflict. Well, this just goes back to where I am intentionally obfuscate what I'm doing. Have you guys not noticed that sometimes I will say something and then do like the exact opposite? Or I'll be like, well, I don't know if I really want to make a trade here. And then I'll take it. I don't want you to follow me. Certainly don't want you to take the trade before I do. Seth, is swing more easy than day trading? I think it's way more complicated than that. The longer that you hold a position, the higher the probability, or let me rephrase that. The longer your average hold time is, the greater your probability is of having a profitable strategy. But you have a lower risk adjusted return. So there is a point at which if you're swing trading, why are you not just putting all your money into the S&P 500, right? So if you're swing trading and you're making less money than the S&P 500, that would be okay, as long as you're taking on less risk and less P&L variation because of that, right? So swing trading can often trick people. Swing trading makes them think that they're a good trader because they're making money, but then when you actually look at it, there's a greater swing in their P&L than they should have, and they're not making as much money as if they'd put it into the S&P 500, and so there's no real advantage to them trading it the way that they are. Does that make sense? So edges is a curious thing, because you got to remember that. Sorry, you just like Gary asked me a question. It just like completely short circuited my thought process. Risk is a curious thing, because there are a lot of the whole market kind of operates on fooling people into thinking something is something that it's not. And so one of the ways that they do that is you get into this thing where you think that you're doing well, you're making money, and then they'll come and they take it all away from you all at once, or you're just kind of quietly underperforming over and over again, and you just never realize it. What is the average historical returns for the S&P 500 over 40 years? I believe is 10%, but I think it's a little bit more than that. It's roughly 10%. Now, here in futures is a different thing. So that's where it's like, when you're trading with leverage, for you to make 10% a year on your trading is pretty easy, right? So the correct comparison is not necessarily the S&P 500, right? So one way of looking at it, of a really effective way at looking at your performance, is to ask, okay, how many ticks how many ticks per contract did I make today? And what was the range of the instrument today? And what percentage of the range did I get? And that's a more effective measure of how much of the market you're actually catching. So like if the range of the day is only 10 points and you ended up making 30 or 40 points, then that's like, oh my gosh, amazing. So didn't I? Oh no, that's right. I went and I tried it and I didn't. So I got this strategy that is a long only strategy. And basically the gist of it is that overall on the past year, it's really successful. But, you know, it takes hits, and the way that it deals with it is it just manages it. It just says, well, if I've lost $500 today, then I'm done. And so it's taking a long trade here. We'll see what comes out on it. We have too many indicators on the screen. How do you know? I think that's kind of an interesting comment to make when you probably don't even know what you're looking at. This chart down in the lower right corner is largely for fun, to be honest with you. It was a great day for shorts yesterday. Yeah. Well, I gotta say, like I said in the opening, yesterday was so unexpected. I cannot think of a market move that had me more surprised than yesterday. I mean, it all makes sense in retrospect, but I was not expecting them to sell, and I definitely wasn't expecting them to do like a third Sigma sell. You know what I mean? So you can see who disliked the videos. Well, so you can look down at the thing, and if there's a dislike on it, you know. From time to time, we've gotten dislike bombed. So this is really funny. The last time that we got dislike bombed, could be the same person right now. It actually boosted the video and made it extremely successful. like we actively made like 10 or 20 bucks or something like that off of the advertising of it because somebody went and put like 20 dislikes on the video. So you just remember that disliking a video makes you less likely to see content from that creator in the future, but that it doesn't affect the it doesn't affect what the algorithm will show to other people. Yeah, the great Salim the Bago. You really just need to figure out the Discord. You call me. When you're ready to try and figure it out, and you call me. I honestly think though that he's just too busy and that he doesn't actually go and look at it, because I don't think that it's as difficult as he's making it out to be. Okay, well, I tell you what, we were getting some pretty good down moves and really aggressive action on the downside. And since then, we've retraced pretty far back up. And in fact, they've let it come up quite a bit without a whole lot of volume doing it. So now I'm starting to think, okay, when they were sweeping and they were really hitting it down here like that, was that really an informed trader, or was that just like really aggressive robots? Is what I'm thinking now. Oh, sure. Okay. FT responded back to me and says, no, it wasn't that same one that I saw. Somebody showed me a picture yesterday. They were getting messaged by someone, and just randomly messaged by somebody, and they had taken this huge loss, and I'm really suspicious about it. What happened to Quantopia? I just started learning Python. Should I keep going or learn a new language code? So what happened to Quantopia? The whole idea of Quantopia was that we would give you the data and you backtest your algorithm, and then if you meet certain qualifications, then we can put it up and potentially we'll trade it or whatever the deal was. They had certain stringent requirements for your algorithms that kind of made it difficult to really accomplish anything anyways. And basically the gist of it was that they weren't discovering, the whole point was to discover new strategies that they could trade in a fund, and it wasn't doing that. That it was basically a bunch of noobs sending them curve fitted stuff and not really accomplishing anything. So they weren't making money from it. And so Robinhood came along and said, well, we would like your people. And so they sold out to get better jobs, essentially. Should you continue learning Python? Well, the advantage to Python, and the reason why it gets used as much as it is that there are a lot of machine learning libraries created for Python that are really easy to use. And so people are making these Python scripts that manage a portfolio using machine learning and having some success with it, my understanding. And so that's the advantage to Python. Now, I think that the disadvantage to Python is that there really isn't a good platform like to get good quality data and have something that really has a good back tester and does all of the things you have to write that stuff yourself. Whereas with Ninjatrader, which is the best back testing I have tried, you get the back testing and the pulling of the historical data and some machine learning algorithms to optimize your strategies and things like that. You just get them for free. And I have like 2 or 3 thoughts going through my head at the same time. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So you get all this stuff in Ninjatrader. And programming in C# is not that hard. Like, I think one of the things is that people go in and they say, oh yeah, take Python because it's easy to learn. It's not. It's really not. But Python has a couple of so I'll give you an example. In Python, control structures, the indentation of your code within a control structure matters. And this is useful to new programmers because they don't want to remember that curly brace means this and that and all these other things. But the reality is that the way that control structures work in every other language, it works just fine, and it's more efficient for their compilers or interpreters. And every other programming language does it that way. So in the end, this standard that they have in Python, it ends up just being annoying, especially if it's not the kind of indentation that you like. You get what I mean? So it's those sorts of things. So how do you learn to use Ninjatrader stuff? I have videos about this. So I have one video that tells you what the major functions are, and I have one video that tells you what the main how you might want to use data structures to deal with order flow type data. And then I have a number of other videos where I just show you some back-tested strategies, and I show you the code in those. It's very simple to just, here's how you add an indicator and take trades based on the value of that indicator. So okay, iceberg at 02. Cool. Even if I'm clueless about C#, yeah, totally you can. Because here's the thing, is that like, if I wanted to get into the language specifics of C# and I could go into like reflection, like this is one of the best, reflection is one of the best things you can understand about C# that makes it unique, is that every object in C# has additional metadata stored with it that tells C# what it is, so that it can pack and unpack these objects and like recast them as other things. Or you could do something like go through every object and tell me what it is. And even do things like go through an assembly and return to me every class of this type and then create a list for me. You can do that in C#, but the drawback to it is that all of your objects take up more memory, and that's why C# is such a memory hog, right? But it's not, you don't need to know any of that shit. like you just you look at the code and you say, oh, okay, here's a piece of code, and from there it's just looking at the code that comes with Ninjatrader and doing the thing that you want to do, and you kind of just figure the syntax out as you go along. And there's really nothing in there syntactically that is so complicated that you're not going to be able to figure it out from just seeing a piece of example code and then doing a search about it. Were you an engineer previously? Yeah. So I still have a day job. And my day job as of current is I am a site reliability engineer for a healthcare company. Are you getting a short here? Yeah, I see. Okay. I'm not necessarily going to trade it. I just want to kind of square it because I'm kind of paying attention to which ones does he decide to take and which ones does he not. And you can see like the latest 20 minutes of action or so have been up. Right. But the larger action, like the overall overnight action, is down. So it seems to me that Ace is favoring the much higher time frame in terms of direction at the moment. So they're hitting into O2 and there's another pretty big order there. Sounds like you've tried algo trading. Anything worth pursuing further? Well, so for instance, I have an algorithm. I have a number of algorithms running at the moment that I'm like testing on blah, 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 blah. I have a couple of algorithms that I'm testing on Sim. That's right. But the observation that I found is like when I do a back test, the trading is usually not as doesn't hit some of the metrics that my own trading does. For instance, in my own trading, the average adverse excursion is actually often less. It's kind of funny, like the excursion is less, but then I will just have these really bad losing streaks on my own personal trading. So he says that was dumb. Yeah, that one didn't work out, did it? It's okay though. Gary says, Seth, don't you read the news before you be injured? I do. I don't necessarily share every piece of news that I read with you guys, but I will go and read like the, in particular, the Rand Squawk / News Squawk morning briefings. Nope, totally disagree. Then says, blackout news, blackout analyst, blackout everything except charts. If you're looking at chart, you're always backwards looking. You don't want to, so this idea that you want to go and see somebody else do something and then follow in after them is kind of a sketchy trade, right? Because the whole thing is like big guy A gets in and then maybe a certain number of people get in after him. And where do you fit in that hierarchy? Are you going to be the very first person that trades after that big guy? Or are you going to be the last person that trades after that big guy? And I have discovered that you end up being the last guy to trade it far too often. And so you buy into it, and then, oh, the move is over. So the reality is that the big guy making the trade, that's the trade. You want to be in before he does his trade. You want to look at the information, because here, how does this guy make his decision? Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the time it's because they are informed, because they know something about the news in a situation that the market has underpriced. And so they're taking a trade because of that. And if you know that information and you just take the trade before them, right? You take the trade, big guy comes in, pushes it up, and then, hey, now you've got this room to just let it ride. You still on the Bitcoin sidelines? Of course I am. Not to mention that honestly, the really big players behave in a way that makes it almost impossible to really truly see what they're doing on the tape until it's too late. Smart money is detectable in technicals. Yeah, long after the fact when the move has already happened. So here's my response to that. Okay, so then what is the technicals that you can detect? We'll set up the conditions when we believe that we have enough information to say that a big trader is moving in a certain direction and that we should take a trade, and we'll backtest and see how effective it is over the past 4 years. Can you tell when there's a big institution pushing up and down as it is happening? It depends. So if there was a piece of breaking news that just came out and people are panicking to adjust to it, then sure. But if it's just kind of a slow market and we're range bound, and inside of that range, a large institution is accumulating a ton of shares, you're not going to see it. Okay. So we'll see if that getting out of that was the right thing. You just remember that one. It's not like the thing that's funny. What Air Gary says, stop asking him these questions because he hates technicals in TA. I mean, the thing is I use technicals, right? Like, I have a ton of indicators. I try a ton of indicators. You can see that I almost always have something on my charts to see what's going on. There's always things that I'm testing and studying. I do a ton of back testing, and everything that I can do with back testing, I consider technical analysis. Now, most people don't consider level 2 changes to be technical analysis, but in my book it is, because it's generated by the markets. So it's not that I hate technical analysis. It's that people abuse it. People misinterpret it. They have come to the conclusion because well, it's primarily because of this book, the technical analysis of stocks, because that's was kind of the holy Bible back in the day, and they were the ones that said, well, you don't have to know what's going on. You can just watch the big players and then mirror their moves. And I'm just giving you logical explanations to explain why when you test all of these technical indicators that they don't work. It's because the big guy has already made the trade. The edge on that particular thing that he was doing is already arbitraged out. Unless you're really fast somehow, right? If it's data-driven, it's technical now. What makes something technical is that it is market generated by the market itself. Your success is proportional to the number of indicators on your chart. Well, this chart over here has like 12 indicators on it, I think. How many does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, okay. So apparently Jack Ma is not dead. Good. This is good. Okay, so look, it came down a 1/2. We did the right thing. Well, our first move on the ES was long. We think that they will maintain that. Well, okay, yeah, so where I was going with that was people believe that the technicals can tell them things about what certain players are doing or will predict the future. And my general observation from the backtesting that I have done is that they really don't do that at all. Instead, what technical analysis allows you to do is it allows you to take advantage of statistical aberrations in the market that can help you that can help optimize your positioning. So, for instance, if I would like to buy it right now, you know, you may not want to buy it when it's reaching a third sigma deviation from the average, right? The chances of it pulling back a little bit at some point here is really high. We know that from the technicals, okay? But do I know, like, if I buy it here and hold it for an hour, it'll be higher or lower? I can't tell you that. And when you go back and you do back testing, the thing that I find over and over again is that how well the strategy does is highly dependent on what kind of a market it was. And if you had a strategy that favors going long after a really big downturns or when things become tight, then it will have done well on the past year of data. But how would you know that that's going to happen? The technicals don't tell you that. You know how you know that that's going to happen? Because you know that the Federal Reserve is putting a lot of liquidity in there, and then you can go through it tactically and determine what is the best way to take advantage of action like that. Right? So what is that really? It's selecting a strategy based off of fundamentals. So that's where I say that I really think that you have to make some decisions first based on the fundamentals about what you're going to do. And then you can look at things in technicals and try to kind of advance your position. So this one right here, it did well. You see that? It got the winner. Not only did it get the winner, but that's basically $1,000 win. So this is a 20-point win that it caught. And the way that one works is it uses the oscillations to find an effective buying location. But, big but, that very strategy just did absolutely dismal yesterday. So, look, it did dismal yesterday. Today, it is more than made up for what we lost on it yesterday. Isn't that cool? You're looking at it yesterday, I was like, well, we need to do something about this, because this shouldn't just be trying to do this over and over again on like what is clearly a downtrend day. And I tried a couple of things last night and none of it really helped that. Maybe I need to go back and take have it take into consideration some order flow levels or something like that. I don't know. Gary says, and you didn't take it for a winner? Well, we're still testing it. This is only day 2 of this thing. I think that we've got to test it for at least 2 weeks, right? And we did detect a slight issue with it yesterday. Oh, by the way, why is this one? Oh, I've got one of these is still outputting data. It should fix that. Matt had a 30K. Was that yesterday? Hell, look at it go. 37.10 now. So now we kind of have to start looking at yesterday's volume profile and start to determine, because we are in like single print zone, aren't we? Yes, we are. So single prints end at 37.26. And there's also a good spot in the profile there. So 37.26 might be an area for us to look at. So here we're describing, again, another technical edge, right? Does this technical edge predict that it's going to move to 37.26? No, it doesn't. All it tells us is that there was an increased amount of interest between 37.17 and 37.26. And so we can watch that and see how the interest compares when we get back up there again. Yes, he was rage buying it like you. Well, I don't know if I was really rage buying it like that. So this is the thing that bothers me about the way that I traded it yesterday, was that it was like, wait, so he recovered it in the end? Yeah, oh, that doesn't surprise me, but the thing that bothers me about my own trading yesterday was there was a couple of places where I took it long where that would have made sense. But there was a couple where I took it long where I didn't. And when I did take it short, I was taking it like as she goes, and then there was spots where it would scare me out and then go lower. So, you know what I mean? There was a couple of longs in there that I'm not really sure why I took them. And then I just didn't manage the shorts as well as I could have, because I should have been able to hold that short for like 30 points. But I didn't go all out into full burn mode. I I had like losses, and there was a certain point at which I said, okay, we're not doing this seriously anymore. Mm-mm-mm-mm. He ended with a 6K loss in the end. Is there something wrong with my analogy? There is a Forex scammer who's selling FX signals, and I want to join and make the exact opposite. Will the strategy work or not? So let's say that you have a technical strategy and you backtest it. And when you backtest this technical strategy, it comes out that it has a 0.8 profit factor, which means that it loses money overall 0.8. Okay. Will you make money if you trade the opposite of that? No, because essentially what it's saying at that point, at 0.8, is that it's random. So if you trade the opposite of random, guess what? It's still random. And especially if your target is further away than your stop, then you're still just as likely to get stopped out, and your win rate's still going to be bad, and you're probably still going to lose money. Okay. In order for something like that to work, like if you're backtesting a strategy and it comes out to be like 0.6 or 0.7, that's when I would start thinking, maybe this is the opposite of what I thought. Right? So that's interesting to me that Travis took it where he did. Well, let's see what he does. Let's see where it goes. Anyways, even like for me, 6K loss would be like, you're talking to a guy that like a really bad day is $500, right? like a losing day of $500 is like an existential crisis for me. But this is what I've been telling people from the, Future FT is talking the same thing. I don't know if they're talking about him or somebody else, but it's this whole thing where you double down on stuff and your target is way closer than your stop and everything else. It works really great for a long time, and then all of a sudden it just, like in one day, you just lose all of it. That's what happens, because the strategy is making money off of taking the excessive risk more than anything. Okay, so Travis got stopped out there on that one. So that one didn't really make sense to me. Eagle Eyes says, well, Sethi is a scammer, so basically he has a high losing ratio. Yeah, but what could happen is, it depends on a number of factors, but just straight up fading a particular strategy is Here's a bit better question. What is his strategy? Do you know? Because, like I said, it could just be random. Could be that he takes so many losers because he's really looking for big swingers, you know? If one can't take the pain, suffering, and punishment of the market. Yeah, but we're just... This is beside the point that we were making there, Gary. If only I could code a program to short everything, Ross Cameron. So this is a perfect example, guys. With Ross. So as far as I can tell, Ross is not lying to people. I don't believe he is. He does post broker statements like every month, is my understanding. And from time to time, he does make money. Actually, fairly reasonably. But I would not expect to duplicate his success at all. Like, what he's doing is like something that most people aren't going to do. And frankly, him having a bunch of people following him and chasing after him is going to make that way easier for him to pull off. Right? So, in particular, he trades stocks that are like high float, which means that there's like a high amount of slippage and things of that nature. So if you faded his trades, even if there was actual like edge in fading his trades, I would bet that what you lose off of slippage and the issues with a high float stock probably would cancel that out. You know what I mean? Is Travis took along an ES and got stopped out of it. I find this interesting that Travis, have we seen Travis take a profitable trade yet? There are some of these trades that like, I don't know. They backtested and it seems like it's doing great, and I'm wondering if it's behaving differently on Sim than it does when I'm backtesting it. So I think what I'm going to have to do is go back and run a backtest on today's data and see where that says that it took it. Because Travis should be taking it with a certain degree of how do we say? So right here. Okay, well, it wasn't a terrible entry. We can say that. Look, he got in before some volume up came. But generally speaking, Travis should be seeing some degree of like, you know, buying in volume. So he's looking at volume. So it was going down and he took it. That doesn't make sense to me. Why there? Something seems off about that one. So Travis is a robot. X-Ray says trailing stops or no. So I've never been able to get trailing stops to work. I'm sure that there are some trades where it works really, really great, but every time that I've used a trailing stop in one of my back-tested strategies, it made it worse. So somebody was asking me about that on a video the other day, why I didn't trail it. That's the answer, because the way that I had tested the particular reasons why I had gotten into that trade said that you just got to hold it and see if it goes to where you want. Backtesting a strategy is one thing, executing it is another, unless the program that you use to backtest the strategy is really effective and can execute it for you. Actually, no. So there's an interesting one, and I shouldn't tell you guys. But the New Year's Eve stream, we back-tested a strategy, and that is the strategy that took the 20-point winner that we got, that it caught this morning. And I don't know if that strategy is really going to be successful in the long term, but it does have something to it that appears to optimize your entry. Because I was looking back at like trades that it took, like even when I was looking at yesterday's bad trades, I was like, okay, yeah, they were bad trades, but if you were trying to go long yesterday, it was at the very least taking the best places that you possibly could have to try and take it long. So that one, when I got done with that one, because I did it on the stream, I made some further changes to it after this stream that I'm not going to share with you. But when I got done with it, it was over the year period was the highest grossing strategy that I had tried. And my first thought was, I shouldn't have done this on stream. Screw that, never go automated. Oh, okay. I'm going to try it. I really am. Like if I can get one of these is solid for 2 weeks to a month, and I believe that the next time period is going to be advantageous to that strategy, I'm going to put it on a combine. What do you think about trades finance? Did you miss the conversation we were just having? Are you guys like trolling me, or you just come in and you're honestly asking? I'm not getting all over you, Jamie, but I'm just wondering because we just talked about him. I know. Here's the thing: I don't like talking about people. There are a number of other YouTubers doing what I'm doing now. Oh, you missed it. Okay, you're totally fine, Jamie. Here's the thing that frustrates me about it. Okay, we've been doing this like 3 or 4 years. All of these guys, Trades by Matt, Cardinal Cash. Who's the other guy? There's another guy. I don't remember who the other guy was, but all of these guys are new. Like I'd never heard of them before this past year and a half or something. Brian Watt, you're right. That's right, Brian Watt. Cardinal Cass is new. Like he was on Twitter before, but now he has the YouTube, so he's pretty new. Brian Watt, I first was shown Brian Watt during the pandemic, and he was he didn't know what the market on close thing. I didn't know at that time either, but I figured it out before him and shared it with him. He thought it was just an algorithm. So these guys are all new, and from my perspective, they're all just copying me. But I think, I could be wrong, I have to look at Brian Watt again, but I think that they've all become more successful than me, right? And I also believe that almost all of them are doing risk arbitrage strategies, or at least what I consider to be a risk arbitrage strategy, which is that they have a stop that's much larger than their target. So, what we were talking about yesterday, or what we were talking about earlier, is the guys were saying that at one point, Matt was down 30K. And it doesn't surprise me, because Matt's strategy is basically look for price action setups and have a stop that's twice as large as your target. Like he's risking 2 ticks to make 1, or something along those lines. And then there are situations where the market moves against him and he will add onto it or otherwise try and average it out. Well, it's just he says the pure arrogance. But the fact of the matter is I've been doing it much longer than they have. Yeah, they make martingale. Now, what I will do is I will go over to Simal Martingale. It's very obvious when I'm doing that, but well, you say you made it up today, but if you keep, I'm just telling you, man, when you really dig into the stats of a strategy like that, and you really backtest things like that far back enough, it catches up to you eventually. Yeah, it wouldn't be fun if he didn't come back. It's true. Well, when it's 30K, I kind of almost have to wonder, was that really on a live account? Like, wow. But that means that he probably had to have made quite a bit of money first before he did it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, here's the other thing is, like, just because somebody made money now doesn't mean that they're going to make money in the future, right? Past performance is not indicative of future results, unfortunately. Yeah, the risk reward is negative. Yeah, it's a reward ratio less than 1. Yes. Reward less than 1. I'm not a fan of it. I think that it's going to catch up to you eventually. Listen, I'm telling you, I've been doing it for 4 years. I was the first person on YouTube to show live futures trading. That's undisputable, I think. And they almost certainly had all seen my channel before they decided to do it themselves. Now, does that really mean anything? No, but I guess the reason why I think that fact is significant is, so I've been doing this for 4 years. Some of these guys, oh, here comes that news, by the way. That was a way bigger reaction than I thought to the ISM. Oh, because it was really good. Let's see if we can catch a good spot here. That spot looked okay. It'll be difficult though. Yeah, get out of here. The reason why I think it matters is I've been doing it longer and they've had more success. And so then the question that you have to ask yourself is, why? And when you go and you look at the channels, it's actually really obvious why. They take trades that have a reward ratio less than 1, which gives them a high win rate. So when their viewers are watching, they say, oh, this guy always wins. This guy is always making money. They're drawing people in with the illusion that they're always making money. And then they make these really clickbaity thumbnails that people browse and go, oh, this guy made $6,000 today. I want to do that. And then they click on it. And I think that that's fun. You know, I don't think it should even be allowed. Because it kind of suggests that past performance is indicative of future results. It's saying, come and watch me. I made money today, so you should watch me in the future because I'll continue to make money. And it's not true. Now, it looks like that my entry there wasn't effective enough. So, by the way, the ISM manufacturing prices was 77.6 versus an estimated 65.7. and the PMI was 60.7 versus 56.6. So the numbers were really good. And I thought I had an okay spot. It looks like it wasn't quite as great as I thought, but we'll see. Maybe it eventually pulls out. It hasn't stopped me out yet. Oh, sure looks like it's gonna happen. No, stop! Just go up. Here, look, I could do what they do. I could do what they do and add more here, and move this stop way down here, and then. Blunt says you've been trading for 25 years for real, dude? Huh? So here's this, because I'm telling you, because you keep bringing this up, Blunt, and then you don't respond to me, and it's like it's really bothering me. It's just like, okay, so if you have a technical setup, then share, or if you don't want to share it on stream, you just give it to me and I'll backtest it and like prove me wrong. That I don't know, like it's not like I haven't found technical setups that over certain periods of time have some efficacy, right? I don't know. Gary says it's pumping his ego, but I don't really think that it's an ego pumping thing, is it? Like, think about it. I've been doing it 2-3 times as long, and other people have been more successful at it than me. The YouTube channel itself. I guess that's not really the objective. And maybe, but Glenn, I want to be proven wrong. Do you not understand? Do you not understand? Oh, it makes me so irritated. If somebody can provide to me listen, if you can provide a technical setup that's effective over, like X number of years and is consistent, not only would I absolutely love to have it, but I'm sure that there's a bunch of academic researchers and banks and so on and so forth that would love to have it too, right? But then on the split side, it's like, okay, I have an argument here. Here's my argument about what the limitations of technical analysis. I don't want to say technical analysis doesn't work. I'm just going to say there are limitations is what I should be saying. If I ever say that it straight up doesn't work, that you should realize I'm being a little hyperbolic, okay? And so my argument is, here are the limitations of technical analysis. If you have evidence that says that that's wrong, then provide it. If you don't, I suppose it's your prerogative to say you're wrong and then not show us anything, but don't expect anybody else to believe you. You know what I mean? Yeah, when you get 10 years in, yeah. Well, I guess the thing that I was getting at, though, was that I think that if anything, it should be humbling, right? It should be, oh, okay. Like, you did something. Other people have been successful at it. There's reasons why they've been successful at it, and that's not necessarily the goal. But, everything else that you look at should be saying to you, and the things that I've been trying to say for the past month or two, I guess, the real conclusion that you guys should be getting out of it is that even though we might know some things, what we really know compared to what there is available, what other people know, is really, really small. All right, well, I'm going to try it again. Because I thought that decline was a little fishy. It wasn't really on volume. Wasn't really market orders hitting it. It was just the limit orders kind of pulled, and I didn't think that they had a reason to pull. So I'm going to try it again. We'll see. Well, yeah, Sunday says it could be hard to follow what you're doing during the stream, others not so much. Yeah, well, that's intentional. I mean, I kind of gave an explanation for what. So, okay. So I will try to explain why I took a second time. Okay. It may end up being a stupid trade. Let's just put that out there. Okay. I believe that the ISM manufacturing news was good and justifies a continued move up. I also believe that we have some value areas on the volume profile above us that under continued bull pressure are likely to be revisited. So we just had a move where we went, we made a slightly higher high, and then we came all the way back down to the other side of the range, and the cumulative delta almost didn't change at all. And I saw certain patterns that I can't really put into words about how it traded down there, where it was like people stopping out and then the limit orders almost immediately getting placed back in there. So I tried to put an order in at an area based off of where it had gone down before, where I knew that I was likely to get filled. And that's why I took it. So like trying to explain that all to you, like in the moment, that's really hard. And it's like every single time it's different. You know what I mean? Gary says, this is my 23rd year and I don't know everything and I would never claim to. That's too arrogant with it. Yeah. Well, like the big, when I'm going through the thing that I find so interesting about a lot of the academic research is that I don't think I've read a single paper. I don't think I've read a single paper that they went through and they said, okay, when this thing happens, it has this probability of the market going this way. None of them are trying to show some sort of a technical signal that predicts the future. None of them. None that I've found. If you have an academic paper that does that, share it with me, please. Because I've been searching for them and I haven't found them. You would think that it would exist. No. But no, they're almost always like, what is the most efficient way to execute? Like, they are essentially saying, we don't care what the market's going to do. We want to make our trade, and all we care about is just carrying out our trade in the most efficient way possible. You know what I mean? You should take my course. No. You're just teasing. Oh, okay. I mean, I'm kind of self-conscious about that too, because so here's this other thing. Well, so we talk about this. I don't know if you guys watched that. $49 for all of the pathetic secrets. Yeah. No, so on Sunday I put out a video where I gave an explanation behind all of the custom indicators that I use and how I use them. I didn't go deep into strategy, but I went into what they're good for. And you can download that indicator package. It gives you a 2-week trial. And then after that, if you are a subscriber to this channel, which means you click the join button down below and you sign up for the elite $10 a month tier, and then you will have access to the indicators as long as you are subscribed. And you have to send me an email with your Ninjatrader ID and your YouTube username for me to set that up. Okay. And at the beginning, I explained, like I tried to explain at least, why I'm doing it. And I swear it's like a 5-minute thing at the beginning of the video, but it took me like 3 hours to record and figure out the right thing to say. Because people immediately, the first thing that they're going to say is, oh, well, you're selling it. That must mean that you're so bad at trading that you're trying to make money off of selling the indicators now, right? Well, if that was really what I was going for, I think that it would make more sense for me to sell the indicators for like $500 try and sucker as many people as you can into buying them, and you pay, they pay you once, and then it doesn't matter what they do. Instead, I chose to do it for $10 a month because I want it to be, okay, you sign up for it, you try it for $10. If you didn't think that it was worth the $10, then you're going to stop doing it. And so then, if that's really the case, then, if a lot of people are experiencing that, then it'll just be, well, we continue to improve them, right? But it has to be useful to you for me to make money. So our incentives are aligned. That's why I did it. But why did I do it? Well, the first thing is that we do want to look into market by order data, and I'm not making enough money from the trading. And even if I was doing really well, I don't think that I would make enough consistently from the trading for that particular, for that monthly cost to make sense for me. So that's a big factor. I'm not going to lie. But the other factor is that I've built this indicator, my inventory cost basis, and it is something else. I have found it incredibly useful. I think it's amazing. And I have been doing back testing with it and trying strategies with it. And I've found some interesting stuff. I've found from this some pretty good probability setups, like 55% actually. And these are some of the ones that we're testing, which is why I get frustrated that some of them aren't taking trades, because that's some of the ones based off of that indicator, and I'm wondering why they're not taking trades. And so really what I'm trying to get at is like the collaboration is like, okay, this is bigger than just me. We need a group of people backtesting these and trying them and mining out what edge there can be in it and sharing it with each other. And when I'm doing that and you guys don't have access to the indicator, you guys can't even look at the same things that I'm looking at, that doesn't really make much sense, does it? So I put it out so that we can create that, so that we can, there can be a group of people. Then that doesn't have to be everybody on the stream, but we'll be in the Discord, and we're using those particular things, and then we can share with the tool set what's working best for them. Because I think that the issue is that you might have something that has edge right now, but things change, right? And so then it doesn't have an edge anymore, and now you're mining for more edge. And if it's just you, it's really hard to stay on top that way, right? But if there's a group of you, if there's like a dozen, and that's my expectations, I only expect like a dozen people to sign up for this. But if there's a group of you, I think that you're much more likely to have consistent success. So that's why I did it. But I was really I'm really self-conscious about it. I saw yesterday Sierra is offering MBO on Denali. So I don't know what you mean by Denali, but you're right that Sierra Charts has MBO data now. Will they ever be available for Sierra Charts? So you guys, I don't know if it's like the same 2 or 3 of you asking, but so many people have asked me that. I do want to do it at some point. There's a couple of things holding me back. So I don't 100% know what's going on with Sierra Charts yet. But word is on the grapevine that Sierra Charts may be looking to make significant changes. And I kind of want to see where they go first before I do anything huge. So I am on Rhythmic. So I looked into it. For me to get the Rhythmic API Plus, something must be going on here. Hold on. This is that same kind of thing from before. So it comes down, that kind of makes me think that there could be some informed trading going on, but now it's just kind of ranging. So I'm thinking that it's me just be noise and unlucky. Anyways, yeah, so I looked into it, and it's basically like $100 extra, and when you add everything else on top of that, you're talking like $150 a month for data. And we're talking about data that I don't actually know if I'm going to be able to find an edge with it or not, right? We have some theories about how we can use that data with the, with the inventory cost basis that we have. But at that point, I think that I want my own platform. So that's kind of what's holding me back from Sierra charts. So we will we just kind of wait it out, and maybe 6 months, a year from now, I can look at this Sierra charts thing, and if Sierra charts is still in a good place, then maybe I will write it for them. You have to realize that, particularly with the inventory cost basis, that the ability to do that in Sierra charts, it's a lot of work. It was a lot of work to write it in Ninjatrader. Okay, so that stopped me out there, and I think that we've got to flip on this, because, well, we should try and get an efficient entry if we do. Hold on. So it seems to me, they're doing the, Grassley says he'll preside over certification roll call. That's interesting. It sure seems to me like we're getting some rejection up there. And we did see the treasuries come back up meaningfully as well. It seems to me like there was good reason to buy it up because of that ISM number, but that perhaps the market was already in, just because it crossed the both lines. Like, I guess my understanding from my back testing is that the probability is that it still bounces here. But yeah, took 2, lost 2 in the E-mini. So, although both of those actually weren't bad. Yeah, that one gave me 12 and that one gave me 19. I could have, if I was, wasn't looking for it to run, then I could have taken profits on that last one. But I think it was appropriate to try and let it run. So, oh well. No, we have to get to 40 likes now to get a live call from Ace. Oh, now Gary talking about the VIX curve. So if you want to see that, oh man, you know what? I'm too lazy to go and look it up, but I believe that the Marketeer was posting charts about that, and Zero Hedge was posting charts about that. So they were pointing out that yesterday the curve, and we're talking about like the difference between the VIX on different expiration contracts. Different expiration contracts, it like flipped yesterday and then flipped back. So that was pretty good evidence for me that perhaps the reason that they moved down yesterday is because of the Senate runoff today. Excuse me. Now I'm a little disappointed the Fourier strat was going for one, and he had to take the loss, but it was a good trade. It was a good trade. So I missed what Ace was saying about COVID. Is you getting a call that you had been exposed, that one of your kids had been exposed to somebody with COVID, or that one of them actively has it? So it's in the house, meaning you had, one of the kids or someone tested and it came back positive? Are your codes only for, so I have the indicator packages for Ninjatrader 8. Well, I don't know, man. That was really odd the way that it dropped back there and now it's just kind of lackadaisical. If not bid. It may have just been robots overreacting to things. I don't know. Oh no. Oh, okay. So the immunocompromised person has been confirmed to have it. Well, I went and got tested yesterday because I've been sick. So. No, it's not the immunocompromised person. Oh, okay. They will be in the hospital? Wait, is the person sick enough to go to the hospital already? No, the immunocompromised person will have to, yeah, sure. You know, the question, because he was never really told us why, what the specific medical issue is, so I don't really know how significant it is for that. You know, is it like a directly relevant risk factor for COVID or not? Okay, well, there's a decline in the E-mini again, a little bit lower. So there's a bit of volume on it that time. Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally understand Ace. He says he'll text me. Ew, I've been sweating. Oh. I don't know if that is directly. Let's look. Yeah, I get you. No immune system, but that's why I'm wondering, like, I don't know if that actually makes it worse. No. Okay, so let me try and explain what I'm trying to say here. The reason that coronavirus is so problematic, or rather why it has such a high percentage hospitalization rate, is that what a coronavirus does is it will actually attack the cells that are involved in immunity. So like the T cells and things like that. And because of that, your body will like seriously freaks out about it. It goes, oh man, this is a big problem. I need to create all of this inflammation and stuff like that. So it's like it gets into your lungs, and the virus itself being in your lungs wouldn't actually be a problem. But because your body overreacts to it, that creates the inflammation that basically causes you to drown in your own lungs, right? So if you're immunocompromised, obviously a coronavirus like that is definitely more likely to like have a full-blown infection, but you might not be as likely to have the adverse reaction. Makes sense? So then at that point, if they have to go to the hospital, I guess you would go to the hospital and they would treat you with, remdesivir and whatever. And you get what I mean? So like I'm just kind of looking at what are like direct risk factors. I'm not just a quick Google search isn't really turning up anything specifically about that and specific interactions. So I can't really say. But, there are some things that have specific risks associated with it that essentially mean your body is more likely to have the adverse reaction to the disease, right? Does that make sense? Because it's not just catching it that's so dangerous. It's if you have an adverse reaction to it. If the presence of the disease causes your immune system to overreact and go into overdrive mode. So if you have I'm just giving you crap. Yeah, I don't know. But if they're still at the point where they literally have zero immune system, I mean, how? Then that's a different thing, right? Like if your immune system was just suppressed, that's where I'm saying that if it's just suppressed, it might actually help, just because you might have a lower propensity. It's building back. Okay, yeah. See, so it's really hard to know how bad it actually would be for them. Or it's probably, I guess the real answer is going to be that there's not enough data to really know what the interaction would be, is there? So I guess it's not even really worth talking about. It's interesting to think about still. So there's a selling again, and the treasury decides to tick up as it do it. So when I look at the tape in the treasury, I don't necessarily see anything indicating that these guys are buying for like they think they know something, but they're definitely going as the E-mini turns down, and you can see there's a pretty big stack at 31.5 now. Which is good. That's where we would like it to be, right? We have been doing the mask and alcohol wipes for a lot longer than COVID. Oh, really? Wow, there was a time when white blood cells were literally 0. Okay. So did they catch it from school? Tommy's saying the new corona from England will cause much bigger problems because it is much more contagious. Well, I find it interesting to see how the people in Europe are reacting to this new wave. They certainly seem concerned about it. And this is why I was bringing up Johnson yesterday, because the Conservative Party in the UK is reacting to this in a similar way to the Republicans are, from my understanding. And they don't like the restrictions, and he's kind of been towing the line because he doesn't want there to be a revolt among the members of his own party. So why would he do that unless he really was concerned by the data that he has, you know? Here in Ireland, government is thinking about a 2-kilometer radius lockdown. Yeah. Well, and this is where I say, so there's an article about it on Zero Hedge. They're reposting an article from somewhere else. But basically, this guy's contention is that the way that we're doing the lockdowns actually increases the chances of you getting hit. That because they force everybody, like, you can't go out except for when you go to the store. So then what happens is the stores become more packed, and then more people catch it when they go to the store. And that's why this person believes that lockdowns haven't slowed the spread. I find that to be a compelling argument. I think that we would need that. Would warrant further investigation at the very least, right? Curious. So that one, somebody sold 36.92 in the 10-year. I tried to push it back up and he held it. Look at the data. Lockdowns reduced the load counts everywhere they were implemented. Where did they? Because here's what I don't get is how can California have been locked down almost the entire time, by far and away the most extensive and persistent lockdowns in the United States, and California is having the highest number of cases now? Explain that to me. New Zealand is a terrible example. So here's the thing. New Zealand is an island. They at most had like 14 cases. Okay, it wasn't widespread in the population. People in New Zealand live really far apart, and there's not a very high population density. It's not even close to the same thing. It's not even close to as comparable as a spread in, say, Los Angeles, where once you've already had a couple of hundreds of cases, you're not going to eradicate it, no matter how much you lock down. Lockdown worked for us. Who is us? Tony says you must have said it. It's all about population density. That could be. X-Ray says, but no one in Cali was listening. They were partying and stuff anyways. I have a friend in LA who was complaining about it. I don't know about that. And can he put the super spreader on the school bus? What? Do you wonder if people tested may have flu due to winter? I'm not hating this, but the execution of this sucks and too many are suffering from this. Well, at this point, I think that there is no question that some flu cases are probably being misdiagnosed as coronavirus, because there's no way that the flu has just completely disappeared, right? Okay, so the E-mini continued down. I took the trade in the 10-year. It's not moving quite as I would like. I'm kind of thinking, would have been happier if I had taken it in the E-mini, but there's still, like, let's say that they go another 5 points down, and then it's still possible that they just hover there. So on a small scale, if you pack 100 people into a bathroom and one person sneezes, it will spread to more than packing 100 people into a giant warehouse. Scale that up to cities, states, and countries. Yeah. So the E-mini kind of turning there a little bit, a little flurry of activity long. Barclays says the options market indicates that investors are not particularly worried about the Georgia outcome. We tend to agree as our opinion, even if the Democrats were to secure both seats, policy gridlock will be the most probable outcome over the next few years. I don't see how that could be the case. But, okay. Typical flu has a relatively low R naught, so it could be greatly reduced with anti-COVID strategies. So this is so to the comment that you guys were saying earlier about, well, people in California didn't follow the lockdowns. Like, do you have data, like hard data, to show that that's what happened? Because that's the sort of a thing where, if you're a person and you are really anal about people following the COVID restrictions, you're going to be more likely to notice when people aren't doing it. and you wouldn't really have a good idea of whether or not people are actually are following the restrictions or not. Nope, just antidote. Yeah, see, so that I'd be careful about that one, right? Because I hear that in Utah too, but I've literally never seen anybody out in public in the past year without a mask. It doesn't it doesn't happen here in Utah. I don't see it. You gonna take ES short here? Well, it's a good spot to do it, I think. It sounds like OPEC is resolving itself here. Oil is up overall on the day. So right here in the 10-year treasury, both sides of the limit seem to be confident in putting a lot of orders on. There's a little bit of crazy in the, oh, I mean, geez, I just got buried, dude. No, wrong. Wrong. Okay. Whew, that was close. When pointing out some personality typing for, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I would think that if any state would be like super uppity about following the restrictions, it would be California. I don't know, just because of the political opinions, you know. Well, I'm kind of buying late in this trend. And no. Not how I like to get filled, no sir. Yeah. If every Republican votes to disallow every Biden elector on January 6th, Biden will still be declared the winner by Congress. This is simple math. Democrats are in the majority and will vote to keep the Biden electors. He's right. Too early to tell what is driving this outbreak. Oh, okay. All I'm saying is it doesn't seem like that the lockdowns have really helped them there. Because in California, they've had like statewide mandated lockdowns like since the beginning. Like they never completely lifted their restrictions over there, right? Whereas places like Florida that like almost completely reduced restrictions from the very beginning haven't had any problem. Now, man, that's just going. This is like this is really weird action. But it's telling me that I could potentially buy it somewhere in here. Maybe that was a little better. Okay. I'm just going to let that, because it looks like that if it goes up there, that'll be fast, so I don't necessarily want to have the limit order sitting there. What the fuck? What the fuck? I shouldn't swear, but seriously?
Block by.
What the hell was that? Okay, so there was a big buy at 30. That's weird. A rangy day. I don't know, man. So we just got action that looks very much like informed trading to me on the S&P 500 in both directions now. So are we going to say it's so Vlad says that's a bounce rangy day. So are we going to say that it's not informed trading? If it's not informed trading, why did it trade like that? That is just at that point, then maybe we can just chalk it up to that the traders are just being a little impulsive. I don't know. Like, but that was some weird move. That might have been short covering there. Actually, the way that the volume goes through it suggests short covering. We are back into the middle zone still. Tesla's up 1%. Oh my gosh. And Apple's up 1.3? What? What the fuck? You see that? The 30-year just dipped like 3 prices. Something is up. So that looks like our 4-year strat taking it in. I'm going to try adding. No, it's this. I don't know, man. The 30-year treasury doesn't just dip 3 prices all at once for no reason. The market maker caught wind of something. Looks like there was some big volume there in that, and then they hit that, and then they pulled on that. Okay. They didn't make it to the other side. That also would be bizarre. Well, shit. I can't explain what's going on today, guys. Something's going on. I guess we just need to be more patient and let it tell us what it's going to do. Well, all right, there is a good little cluster it's forming. Look at these guys. The treasury back up. There was the OPEC. So it looks like oil extending its gains off of OPEC. Look at that. Well, that last one, the loss on it wasn't too bad, but we've reached our limit. All of those were on experimental. Can just watch it real carefully here, see if we can figure out what's going on, right? Look at that. Okay, so there's two sides to this is what's going on. Hmm. Okay. So they're not pushing through the liquidity at 30. Some clicky again. This time a bid pulling out of the way. By the way, did we got shit? That first one not that first one, that last one that we took gave us favorable excursion too. So this is a kind of interesting because normally when I'm trading really poorly, I'll look back at it and be like, what the heck? Why am I losing over and over and over again? And I'll look at these trades and like there's some that just like don't go my way at all. But in today, instead, what's happened is it's actually given us more favorable ticks than unfavorable, and I'm just not taking the profits on them because I'm looking for it to go further. If I had just held to 2 to 4 points profit, I would be up pretty good today. So I think we're going to do this. By the way, did you see that 15K hit into 28.5? Whew. That must have been much earlier. Yeah, that was like 5 minutes ago. No, that was an hour ago. So that's probably the rate log for the auctions today. Okay. Didn't want to trade today, so I did turn out to be that extreme rangy day that does random events in the middle of the range. So I don't look at individual stocks typically, at least not regularly. If you come over to my other screen, I've got all sorts of shit. So I'm watching pretty much everything that trades on the CME over here. I do see the dollar kind of getting hit a little bit. Okay. So that's generally good. No, he's watching me and just pissing me off is what's going on here. Jeez. Oh, man. Oh. Did you see what happened there? So they were kind of pulling at 30 and it looked like they were going to bid up, and then somebody sold 1,500 and buried it. Oh, shut up, Trump. Donald Trump, the vice president, has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors. He's not going to do it. Give up. Ugh. That'll be funny if in the very end they bury Mike Pence too. Ugh. these people. Well, it just kind of goes both ways. Like, one of the things that has made Donald Trump successful is he comes in and he makes his decision about something and then he just pushes it and nothing deters him. And as a leader, that's important because remember that action is often more important than effectiveness. You know, that just going all in on something, makes it more likely to work. Remember that. And, if you ever become a big trader, right? But in this particular situation, he's going all in on something that he's just not going to win on. What makes you think Donald is successful? How do you think he even got elected in the first place? How do you think that he became so popular? How do you think all of the policy successes that he has had, for instance, probably I think the one that was the most effective was that he did end the border crisis. I mean, it was bad at the beginning, but in the end, they fixed it, and it turned out okay. Well, I mean, it turned out okay in terms of like they have the right policy now, and it appears to work. Obviously, they screwed up before that, right? Let's see here. What other things? The tax reform. They got the tax reform that came through. The vaccine. Actually, probably the best example is the vaccine. So Donald Trump came in and he said, well, we're going to develop this vaccine before the end of the year. And he went with it. I don't think that anybody else would have done that. I think that most other people would say, well, it's not really realistic for a vaccine to get done in a year and yada, yada. No, he said, what's can be done, we're going to do it. That's where he's been successful. And his fans have helped in this respect because they just kind of have an unwavering faith in him. And for the most part, it worked out. They got what they wanted. But what it means is that when the situation finally comes that where there really are just not in line with reality, is just a dumpster fire, man. Like, he's Steve Jobs. There's probably some similarities between them, yeah. Yeah, you're fired. He hires the best. If it doesn't work out, he fires them, and he gets some. Yeah, and he's willing to take risks. Like really, when you think about it, this his behavior, I think, is as much to do with his propensity to take risk as it is anything else. The issue is just that from his perspective, it's like, what do you have to lose? But everybody else has to live with this after you're gone, dude. It seems like all he cares about is staying president, and there's more than that. or let's take it from a different direction. Today there is a Georgia runoff. Why would you say anything? Why would you say anything that has any possibility of negatively affecting the Georgia runoff election? Other than that, you just can't help yourself. Obviously, Pence and him have had a discussion lately, and Pence has said, I'm not going to be the one that does this. I'm not just going to single-handedly, cancel them. And Donald Trump says, no, you can do it. You should do it. And so that's why he's tweeting about it. But Pence is real. I mean, can you imagine? They don't have the votes in Congress, and the vice president does it. What kind of a precedent that sets? Nah. There's no effing way. Yeah, there you go. Eric Watson, this is not correct. Pence doesn't have this power. Trump is creating a political problem for Pence in 2024 by saying this. Exactly. The fix is in. Well, I don't know if they're going to win the JA seats or not, but the polling seems to suggest all of a sudden that they will, doesn't it? So the E-mini just flipped back down there again pretty easily. I don't know, man. I'm surprised that the treasuries ain't bidding up, but it could be because they think that the Democrats are going to win in Georgia. It could be sell all the things. I don't know. Oh, dang. Did the Fourier strat take it again? Oh, I see. The judge just ruled on this. That's why he's tweeting about it, you see? Because they were suing to say that oh, okay, no, wait, this is different. Judge denies Trump bid to invalidate Georgia election result. This is probably the issue that, you know, they had the meeting about, that the media was making a big deal about how he was trying to buy votes or something, you know, which wasn't accurate, but. Sunday Driver believes that that there's fraudulent voting in Georgia. Who knew that the vice president chooses the president? Yeah, it's just, you say the dead will vote. So like there was this thing yesterday where, oh look, there you go, that they're down again. So the inventory cost basis today is really narrow, but it's showing the longs completely stopped out now at this point. Yeah, Wynn says, I listened from the recording of the conversation. You flat out said, fellas, give me a break. I need, and he said the number of votes he needed 3 times, and you could hear the Russell paper as he read. Yeah, so here's what you got to understand about that particular story. This is the Georgia, the secretary or whatever, they're having a conversation with them. Why are they having this conversation? So this is the first thing that you got to understand. The reason they're having this conversation is because Donald Trump is suing them, and this conversation that they're having is arbitration with the suing. Okay, so the argument that Donald Trump is making is that there is more than enough evidence of fraud for them to overturn the election results. And okay, 11K at 29 now, huh? And that all they need, that, you know, the divide is not that much, that he only needs something like 11,000 votes or whatever it is. And all of the discrepancies that they're pointing out are much larger than that gap. And in particular, Donald Trump was saying that there are some Joe Biden votes that can be invalidated. So that's the first thing, is when you hear him say that, the part of the audio that the media played, he's not saying you need to give me more votes. He was saying you should be able to invalidate Biden votes. And he wasn't saying like, oh, just do it and or else, and it doesn't matter if they were really invalid or not. Their whole argument is that these votes are invalid and that they can prove it. So, frankly, it was another case of media coming out, and probably because of the Georgia runoff today, coming out and misrepresenting what actually happened again. There's no way they can tie votes. Audits are impossible when they say only 2 votes from dead people. There's no way to do that. Yeah. So, and this was the big thing that they were arguing about in that call too, is that they were saying, okay, we believe that there's this many dead people. And then Georgia, they went and put this little sign in the Capitol that said, here's all the things that Donald Trump claims, but here's what the truth of it is. But then you go and you say, how do you know that? So the Trump campaign claims that there are X thousand dead voters that voted. That like they went through and they said, here are people that voted that have died in the last year with the same names, and we believe that they're fraudulent. And Georgia says, no, we investigated and they don't. But then they don't provide any of the evidence to that effect. So in the call, they're saying that. They're saying, well, so why don't you give us those records so that we can verify that? Right? Instead, they just say, no, it wasn't. And so it's just like a he said, she said thing. Lewis said he listened to the whole hour of conversation, fake news, fake election. Who can trust anyone? I'm going to ask my mommy. Yeah. Well, like here's the thing. It's not like the thing that I think is so funny about it is like, it's not going to change who's president. The Washington Post is a CIA mouth. That's true. This is a deep state hit on Trump. Did you know that at the military academy, that reading the Washington Post's main headlines every day is like a required thing for cadets? Like other higher ranking people will stop and ask you questions about what was in the Washington Post that day. It is, and it's been confirmed in the past that the CIA has passed stuff through them. The intelligence agencies of the United States have a tighter relationship with the Washington Post than any other outlet, to my understanding. But I digress. Was it a deep state hit on Trump? Well, I can't. That doesn't prove that, but would the media come in and misrepresent something that was said and release it the day before the runoffs to try and affect the outcome of that election contest? Absolutely, they would. Well, you know, I had some... Well, okay, I don't know. That's a little encouraging. The more I think about this, though, the less this trade makes sense to me. Yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have taken 3 contracts if it was a light one. That was the thing, is I tried 3 trades in the E-mini. They weren't terrible trades, but they didn't turn out. And I tried 2 in the treasury and they didn't turn out. And so then it was like, fuck it. So yeah, look at that. That was a good bid. It was a really good, strong bid. It's interesting to watch for sure, but it seems it is very difficult for me to suss out what exactly is, not only what exactly is happening, but where it's going to go, where you can get in at. Do you do mostly directional trades? Yeah, I mean, are you asking, like, do you ever try spreads, for instance? Because that's something that I would love to get into, but I just don't really have I think that I would need a much larger account to really realistically trade spreads. And the commissions for me would just be too much. Oil hits $50. Now, that happened a while ago. Once again, I'm surprised that not more of my robots took trades. In particular, my inventory bar ones didn't. I guess that makes sense. No, it doesn't make sense. Surely they would have bought up on this or something. I don't know. I'm gonna go back and retest some of these because it really does seem like that there's some of them aren't actually trading live for some reason, and I don't know what the reason is. Okay, so they traded it down again. That time there was a lot of orders waiting for it, but look, they pushed it through and they stacked on it and everything. Now, I do see the dollar weakness coming in again. Average time in a trade for today in ES 14 seconds? Really? Oh yeah, I was talking about the phone call. I didn't finish my thought about the phone call. So here's the thing that irks me about the phone call. As I was hearing, so John kind of suggested it to me yesterday, and I saw people on the Facebook group saying it too, that like, oh, well, maybe the market is down because of the phone call. Why would it be down because of the phone call? That makes zero sense to me. Kimmel, yeah. You can share me with me. I'm not a fan of late night hosts anymore. I don't think they're funny. I think they're way too one-sided. Anyways, it's not something that affects who's going to be president. It's like something that's news for this week, and then Joe Biden's going to be president, and everybody's going to forget about it. It's down because it's down. I mean, you're not wrong, Big Toasty. I wonder what happens if I change my 4-year strat thing to only take one trade a day. Like, well, not one trade a day, but like hit a profit target. Like if it had taken the first win and then there was 2 after that, it just didn't take those 2 after that. And I have to go back and look at what the average win rate on a day is, because I don't think that it actually, there's a day where it made like $5,000 or anything like that. No, I think that the most it tends to make is like that one good run. If the market is down, well, yeah. So I have one strategy that uses a form of Fourier analysis that we're kind of testing. It back tests really well, but it's a little bit, how do I say it? The strategy was designed to take advantage of this QE kind of action that we've had. So I wouldn't expect it to always work, but as long as they're pumping stimulus money out, I think that it's an okay strategy. It was also my experimentation with trying to get to higher R factor trades, so. I'm disappointed though. The inventory bars is supposed to take a trade that takes something like 4 to 5 trades every day, and it didn't take any. So something's wrong with it, I think. Something's wrong with that strategy, I think. Like, I don't understand why it's it's back testing correctly, but then in live it doesn't. There's just got to be something wrong with it. So I'm even going to investigate that more today. Look at that, E-Mini making a pretty good run here now. Yeah. Now I'm trying to think about the larger, like obviously today was bad. And I traded them all. I didn't trade them on even my Sirius System accounts. So like, but I've had difficult days a lot lately, you know? So, and I'm still frustrated because we had this time for a good quarter, you know, we did so well. Actually, we had a lot of successes this past year. But since November, since the election, it hasn't been working out very well. And I'm not quite sure what to do about it. I don't know, pouting and going, but that's the thing is he's not taking his ball and going home. Not yet. So this is the real question is after tomorrow, what happens? I gave you a thumbs up because you didn't mention stochastics. Yeah, because we mentioned stochastics yesterday, didn't we? And that was one that we found, like, when we backtested it on this past year's data, it was a teeny tiny bit. Like, the thing is with those ones is that I can look at it and I can be like, okay, but if I have something that really seems to matter, like especially with my positioning model, which does seem to have some predictive quality to it, or at least the initial data suggests that. And then you combine it with something like the stochastics or the Fourier that will get you a better entry based off of the rotation of the market. You know, it's like you kind of combine things together and you might be able to build some more edge. And in backtesting, at least, that's what it suggests. But here today, like I'm so frustrated because all of these ones that are based off of this order flow aren't taking trades, so don't get it. Well, Travis took one, but it was like dead wrong and not in a spot where I thought it should be taking a trade. Travis. We need to come up with names for these other ones. So we need to have one for the Fourier. Then these inventory bars ones. I've got four of these to give names to. I don't know if some of these deserve names yet, though. Anyways, down tick again. 43, 47, 29.5. Makes you wonder. Sure does kind of seem like maybe somebody flipped the switch again today, though. Like it's just kind of slowly rising up and nothing. Well, actually, we're getting some iceberging here and some selling. It's interesting. Maybe it is just rotation around 3,700. But I certainly don't feel like I read today's action very well. I still feel a little confused. And it was a strange move. Oh, it was a strange move down. It was a strange move up and then a strange move back down. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Most of the ticks are, yeah, it's true. It absorbing 43, 47 doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but I do find it interesting that they're absorbing so many contracts down here. But I bet you that it probably has more to do with the auction. Although we should have already gotten the results on that, shouldn't we? Well, it doesn't matter. Thinking about what we want to name today's video. Choppy trade, day of Georgia runoff elections. That last push-up was the ES thing above. Oh, that's a good observation there. Well, actually, no, take that. I mean, they kind of retested the open and never made it, so. You have a name? What's that? By the way, Greg, it's nice to see you on live again. The Greek gods named my robots today. So we should call them Zeus and Apollo and stuff like that. There you go. That was not a bad idea. I try and name them with the same letter as like what the underlying concept was. So, well, I think about it, but I think that some of these need to be debugged a little bit because I'm pretty sure they should have taken a trade today. All right, guys, I get going. I don't know. You have some ideas for me? Let me know because I still feel that we need to make some changes, and I'm not quite sure where to go because what we're doing today definitely didn't work. Well, it could have worked, I guess. I wasn't terrible, but it was just not quite all there. But we didn't really have like actionable information, did we? Like there was moves that seemed like they were news based, but we never saw the news. So thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, I'll be here every day, win or lose, whether we're doing awesome or we're doing awful. One tick target drill. I could go back to trying to test my one tick in the 10-year or more. That's actually probably a good idea since we're supposed to mostly be using these since we're relying on the robots for the E-mini at the moment. Okay. Stay profitable, friends.